Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending tonight our show and tell. Today is a specific show and tell where some teachers are going to present some subscription websites which they found useful for their teaching and learning. And everyone will present and explain why they've picked that subscription website in terms of impact on their teaching and learning. Should have told my husband not to hoover during the meeting. I'm sorry, I'll switch off my sound in a minute. Right, we've got so quite a few subscription websites to present you, and then a few show and tell on non-subscription websites that some people have volunteered to present. So without further ado, let's see my list. We're going to start with Kieran, who's going to present Google Pear Deck. So Kieran Sweeney from Connors Key, over to you, and I'll switch off my sound.
Thanks very much. I'm just going to share this pre-recorded video, so I hope it works. Here we go. Hello, language colleagues. I would like to share my personal experience of using a free 30-day premium trial with Pear Deck. I started using it in early February this year. What is Pear Deck? The overall premise is that you can insert interactive templates that can be adapted in both the premium and free subscription version. These templates can then be shared with learners using a link, and responses from participants can be viewed. Interactive questions can also be inserted into your own existing Google slide. I have used the Google Pear Deck add-on to reflect the requirements of my school. In addition, all lessons can be saved and shared in Google Drive. Why I use Pear Deck? I felt that Pear Deck would help remove barriers to learning. These were identified during this period of online learning via my school's MFL Learner Voice survey, specifically issues such as misunderstanding of tasks, referring to multiple technologies to complete a task, as well as looking for opportunities to be creative. This was particularly pertinent given that at Key Stage 3, learners in French and German were being set online projects with pre-recorded voiceovers rather than live lessons. 5 key ways Pear Deck worked for me. Firstly, one of the positive impacts on learning was the ability to get stuck into the activities and transition smoothly through a variety of skill-based tasks whilst knowing work was being saved automatically and exiting the session at the end. Secondly, I was able to view answers from tasks and formative questions on one Google Excel page and then easily feedback on Google Classroom. Thirdly, the free adaptable template slides gives learners an opportunity to communicate difficult feelings and emotions, allowing me to continue linking with pastoral coordinators if need be. So points 4 and 5, I felt that it was the closest thing to a live lesson, and it was still very much me teaching, just using the tools available to enhance the learning experience during the move to remote learning. Assessing learning. I was able to have an overview of learners' progress during and after the unique Pear Deck link was shared. An important distinction of premium is the visibility of learners' names that appear, unlike this free version view now. The top left is a view of individual answers, the top right is the whole class's answers, and the bottom is the answers in an individual slide format. However, this slide shows an export of learners' emails, names and all their results, which is available to premium and free subscribers after ending the session. The free add-on called Flippity for Google Excel can be used to mark all the tasks and then be sent to learners' emails, which I haven't experimented with myself. I would suggest adding in a self-assessment slide after drawing and draggable tasks, as answers for these tasks are only given as coordinates. Although the premium version allows takeaway results in a Google Doc format, allowing you to annotate and feedback to individual answers before sharing them, but I haven't used this feature either. I like how there was a range of free templates to build into the Google slide. This gave learners a variety of ways to engage with the teaching material, which reflected a purposeful and more normal teaching practice that was also fun. Here are some templates that assess learners' social or emotional well-being. A key strength of Pear Deck is the adaptability and utility of the free templates that they provide, making it great for cross-curricular learning. For example, one of the free geography templates has Google Earth built in. This can be utilized in language activities to reinforce authentic learning.
Can you do me a favour?
Tools, I have personally found the free facility is a great way to give instructions, explain answers, and upload listing tasks. Here are some examples of tasks made accessible and engaging. Having listened to a previous Square session, multiple choice question translations could reduce the learner's default temptation to use Google Translate. The embed link reduces the need to visit multiple websites for learners when undertaking learner-paced tasks. This allows for ease of engagement with our supplementary online platforms like Kahoot, WordWall, Vizia, Edpuzzle, Lookit, and Flipgrid, as well as the ability to work collaboratively with peers in Google Slides and Docs, or individually using Google Forms. So things to consider. For me, the premium feature of Pear Deck has been a useful and convenient tool. It has provided me with the ideal solution to resolve the perceived issues with our remote learning provision during changes to our usual delivery due to coronavirus. The PowerPoint will be shared and I have included some useful links. Thank you for listening.
Okay, that's that.
Thank you, Kieran. Did you want to add anything to that?
No.
No.
But learners do enjoy it. I had a really lovely message today from a learner saying that they find it really fun and engaging, and that's what I want to hear.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much for that. And as you said, yeah, all links that I've got and all presentations will be shared, and then you can get the recording. If I could ask everybody to mute their microphones, please, because we can hear you during the presentation, and then there's a clash of sound sometimes. Thank you very much. So now we're going to have Paul from Allen presenting Exam Pro, and after that Linguascope.
Sure, thank you very much. I'll just share my screen with you now. Hopefully you can all see the PowerPoint on screen. Steph, can you see that? Yeah, perfect, thank you. Some of you may already know Exam Pro, and today I just wanted to start with a bit of a presentation about the website in itself. Exam Pro has been devised by AQA, which obviously is a completely different exam board. However, when I show you the themes, etc., presented in the website, the themes are the same, and the skills, knowledge, and understanding are transferable to our outcomes as well with the WJC. Obviously, there are also very few new spec materials available within the WJC, and we found that this really does supplement what we do have just to fully utilize both sort of aspects. The cost of the subscription is around about £90, but it is worthwhile speaking to other departments in your school to see if they do have a current subscription, as it may well be that you could get that for a little bit cheaper. They also have free access to the website, so you can actually go in and explore first of all before making any decisions. Now, what exactly is Exam Pro? Exam Pro is a collection of individual questions, past papers, examiners' reports, and any sort of marking schemes and any resources based on each activity. Now, we feel as though we've actually been able to fully utilize that into our lessons whilst we're working sort of online, but will also be extremely beneficial when we are back in the classroom. So just to show you a few examples of the questions that we've been able to take directly from the website. So here we've got GCSE practice in reading. So from the world of work, we were able to directly lift this from the website, a reading text, and then the question itself below. The task itself here was to identify the 5 true statements. So we'd be able to present that straight in the presentation to the students. And just to demonstrate another sort of question, just to demonstrate how we've got a range of styles being presented as well. Again, in line with future plans. Additionally, we've also been able to implement listening activities, not just reading, which you can see here. We've got Annika talking about university future plans. And the beauty of this, we've literally been able to upload the listening file into the PowerPoint that we can then click and deliver to the pupils as well. So if I click play now, that audio should come through to you as well. Okay, so that we have found extremely beneficial while students have been working at home, as I say, so we've actually been able to still develop understanding and technique in both listening and reading. Additionally, we also have access to all of the transcripts from the listening exercises. So of course you can utilize that in any format really. So here we have used the transcript as a translation activity. The website really is so user-friendly. It is quite self-explanatory and really straightforward, but I just wanted to give you an overview as to the technical side of things. So if you access the ExamPro website, exampro.com, it would take you to the login screen. When you log in, you would be presented with your portal, as it were. So you can see we've got access here, GCSE French, GCSE German is the one we're going to be focusing on. When you click into that, you have your portal again, with a few links below as well. So not only have you got the specifications, audio guides, exemplars as well, but the AQA have also provided a range of end of unit assessments, and they are ready to go. So if there's a particular topic area that you are interested in, you could look into there, find an end of unit assessment, and you've essentially got a full past paper with all resources attached. What I want to draw your attention to essentially was the start your search here. If you click into start your search, you will see that you're presented with the 3 themes, and these should look very familiar to you. You can also see across the top that you've got the various tiers, so you can actually really narrow down your search. And if there's a particular skill you're interested in, if you are trying to find, for example, a writing task or a particular listening task, you really can narrow down the search. However, more importantly, at the top, you've got the quick index search. Just as a demonstration, I just wanted to show you what would happen. So I wanted to try and find a few resources around the topic of environment. So if you were to type in environment, on the left-hand side here, after you've typed that in, this would populate your search box, or your results box, apologies. There are a few symbols to get your head around, but it is quite straightforward. Red, for example, does relate to the receptive skills and higher tiered papers. Yellow is the same, but for foundation. And the plus icon then relates to the more productive skills. So here I've clicked into the first result, and you can see that I've got the question straight away, but across the top, as I say, you've got access to mark schemes, examiners reports, and in resources as well, you'll also find the MP3 file or MP4 file for the audio. If you find something that you quite like the look of, likewise, if you don't like that, you just continue going through the populated results box. I decided I did like the look of that, and it is really quite a simple task of dragging and dropping from the top into the bottom here. So you drag that, as I say, into the bottom, and you can continue your search. If I wanted to continue to try and find a few other resources to do with the same topic, I could just continue up here, or likewise go back into the search function to try and find another topic area. So as you can see, I found another reading task. I added that to my resources folder below, again, dragging and dropping, and I added the third one as well. When you have found everything that you need, it might just be 1 or 2 questions you're looking for, or you might be trying to devise a full past paper. You would then click the little symbol to export, and you're presented with quite a few options then. You can download it as a PDF, a Word document, or directly to Google Cloud. You also have the option of saving online, so you've got your digital library where you can then later access those resources again, which is extremely beneficial. Regardless of the format you choose, when you click, for example, Word or the PDF version, you're then presented with exactly what you want to save. So if you want a copy of just the question or the mark schemes, for example, or likewise, you can download multiple versions. If you want a question paper for the students, but then the examiner's report or mark scheme for teacher access, then that is also accessible. Once you click export to PDF, it really is, as I say, quite straightforward, and it downloads it as a full document for you and is quite user-friendly, as I say. We really have found it so beneficial to still promote listening and reading skills. As I say, we've used that virtually, but would also be extremely beneficial when we do return to the classroom. The second item I wanted to talk to you about was Linguascope. Now, I know many of you will already have experience with Linguascope. Some of you will be avid fans of Linguascope. However, on the contrary, we might have some negative opinions. However, Over the last few months, it really has been indispensable in supporting our pupils at home. We can use it in a few different contexts, whether that be part of an online lesson or in terms of flipped learning, where we would ask the pupils to research a particular topic area in advance of actually being taught that or introduced to the language in lesson. We, as I say, can use that both synchronously and asynchronously across key stages 3 and 4. So just to show you a bit of an example as to how we'd send that out to the pupils with the specific task that they would need to focus on. And then moving forward to key stage 4, as I say, we have still been able to use some of the activities to still promote developing skills in the role play and also listening. As I say, I know people will have mixed opinions about Linguascope, but we have found it, as I say, especially over the last few months, extremely beneficial for key vocabulary, essentially. And that is essentially what I want to talk to you about today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. That was great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not sure if you were aware of Exam Pro before, but I think that's a very, very good resource, especially these days, but in future years as well. And with Linguascope, you've also got lots of access to past webinars for free. Then you've got you know, some discounts on some of their events. So and a teachers forum, there's plenty there, but yeah, as you know, it's up to you, but it's quite expensive. That's why you know, the £500 will come in handy there if you want it. Okay, the next was going to be Emma from Dyffrynogwen, but unfortunately she has to pull out for today. She was going to present Language Gym. So what I've done quickly, because I'd had a message quite late for poor thing, and I've put together a series of links for Language Gym webinars, but also Textivate. I don't know if you're aware of Textivate, and they're the ones who are developing parallel texts, all sorts of activities. They started with Active Studio, not Active Studio, the series of games, can't remember what it's called, Task Magic, that's it, and then Textivate, and they've really developed that for parallel text. So there are 2 webinars there that you can have a look at. Language Gym is the website created by Conti, and it really does hammer in on skills, refine skills, and it sets them challenges. You can have your classes, you can set it remotely or do it in class, part of your homework. It's just a really good resource, I think, to have as a department. So as I said, I will pass on the links to those webinars, and if we can, we'll do a little recording on a demonstration of Language Gym to pass on to you, but definitely to have a look at. Language Gym is a little bit more pricey, but not that much. It's around the £200 for the whole school, and Textivate is around 150, something like this, I think, for the year, but don't quote me on that. You'll have to check it. I did it really quickly just now. Right, so we're going to move on to Languagenet and Spiral, and that's Viv from Prestatyn who's going to present. Thanks, Viv.
Hi, no problem. Nice to see you all. I've done a recording because I didn't know if I could rely on my Wi-Fi, so I'm hoping it's going to work. So the first one is Languagenet that we subscribed to in the last lockdown, and the second one is Spiral that has been so useful during teaching online. So let's see if this works now. This is Languagenet. It's a subscription website that we discovered during the first lockdown and has helped us a lot. We have seen an increase in engagement from the pupils who would normally not complete homework and are now excited to get to do the activities, to some Key Stage 4 students who need more challenging reading tasks and listening tasks and are really getting stuck in. So you have a word ranking, you log in, you're given a username and password, and you choose which language you subscribe to. So you subscribe per language, but they do deals if you take more than one language. You have different areas, so admin area, where I'm going to talk you through the different things on the side here, and then you've got a school ranking, and this is what the pupils seem to be really enjoying, is seeing how far they can go. All year groups compete against each other, so it's quite nice to sometimes see a year 7 here, year 11 here, and then we even have some year 12s who quite like to take part in it. So you have Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, and you've got different topics, and for each topic you have a reading, a listening, a writing and a speaking, and each skill has 3 levels, so you can differentiate and you can assign level 1 to maybe 10 pupils in a class and level 2 to other pupils. You don't have to assign the same level to everyone in the class, so it's really good for differentiation. So in reading, you choose your level, then you have 3 different categories. And this is an example of the multiple choice. So you've got text, and then obviously some questions there. You can also change the language of the question to make it a little bit more challenging. And then you can assign, if you see this here, you can assign it to whichever class you want. So you can assign from the activity, once you go and visit the activities, you can assign it from there, or you can assign different activities that you know and that you've checked from the actual class itself. So you could say that you wanted a reading and a listening and a writing. You can all put it as one big assignment. You don't have to do them all separately. So this is, if you click assign on it directly on an assignment, this is what you get. You give them a due date. They are allowed to repeat the assignment. So if they want to improve their score, they can. And then you choose which class you want to assign it to. And as I was saying, you can just choose maybe 10 students in this class who you want to do this particular activity. Listening has got different levels as well, and 3 different test activities. And this is an example of the level 2, who said what. You have a snail here to slow down the listening, and then they have to just drag things depending on who said what. Again, you can assign it. This is an example of an open question. So the 2 previous activities are self-marking, and the writing and the speaking, you have to grade it. So the writing here, they have the accents if they need to, they submit, and you get to grade it. Then you have the speaking. Again, you have 3 levels, 3 different activities. They can. We had the problem of people not having a microphone on their computer. They can access this from their phone, and they are a lot better using the phone, as it works better as an app on the phone than on the computer. So they can record straight away from there, and they have 1 minute to think of their answers, and they can get started. This is a quick example of Key Stage 4, a reading multiple choice level 3 of Key Stage 4. We think that the level 3 is usually a very high standard. These are examples of different past papers, exam revision. And we also have the Vocab Trainer. This can be set as assignment, this can be done as a starter in class. There is an awful lot in it. I will go over it in the next video.
Load it. Sorry. If you've got questions while you're waiting, you can.
That's typical.
There is a
Sorry
question,
about
how
that. There's a time limit on Loom recording. So we are in Vocab.
Sorry, there was a question in the chat, Vivian. How would
Oh,
you
yeah.
link Languagenet to Google Classroom?
I can't hear you.
How would you link Languagenet to Google Classroom?
Good question. We don't use Google Classroom, so I'm not sure. It's a web browser or an app, so you can just put the link in, I suppose.
And there's another one. Do you know if they do a primary Languagenet? Pupils
They
are
do.
working at Key Stage 1 and 2 level, although they are
Yeah.
secondary.
There's a primary one as well.
And there's lots and lots of
Time limit
webinars
Yeah, they've got loads of things on.
for free, even if you're not part of Languagenet.
Yeah.
Loom recording. So we are in Vocab Trainer, where I live. We're on still checking the different titles that we could have, and this is what it looks like if you click on about my opinions about my town, and you have the learn section, then you have the practice section and the test section. So you have a recording of the pronunciation for each one. They can go over it as many times as you want. You can assign it directly from here, or you can just use it in class. This is what the practice looks like. Again, 4 different skills. The pupils seem to be really keen on the word pop. They really like it. And then you can have test on any of the skills and write your answers. You have a section about grammar and verbs. Grammar and verbs. This is the sentence building section. So you can have sentence building for Key Stage 3 or 4. Again, we can go through the different topics, and then we're going to have a look at the fridge magnets. So I'm sure you will have seen things like this before. They are very varied, and very interesting and challenging. You also have a dictation one, which is the most challenging of all the activities, I think. Again, you can slow down what you're hearing, and you hear it and you type it there. You've got the accents there as well. This is very good for admin. So you have an awful lot of data. I won't go too much into detail, but that you can then keep track of their progress, but you can also show management if you needed to show the how the impact of the use of Languagenet, for example, on your classes. So you can look at through the active assignments, and you can see their details and how many tasks they've completed, and how successful they were with these tasks. You can also go a bit more into details to see if you've set loads of different activities, you can see per activity how they got on. Okay, it can be the listening and the reading, and then you have some results there. You can have a look per class at their average, how they're getting on, per skill, and monthly, and how their exam skills are represented. This is another way to look at the average scores. And this is the person that I got in contact with and who lets us have a free trial and was very helpful. And the service afterwards, if you've got any questions, they're on it straight away and very efficient. I hope this was helpful. If you want any more information, please do not hesitate to send me an email. Okay, bye.
That was that. I don't know if you've got any more questions. I can't see the chat yet.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions. How much does it cost?
They seem to give you a price depending on the size of the school. It's all adapted. They haven't got a set price, but it's working out more or less by £1 per pupil for us.
How much did you pay for your school, for example, which is a massive?
For my school, we pay 720.
Right. Okay. For 1 year.
Very expensive. Yeah.
And there's another question from a special school. So are there many resources for primary? Do you know?
I don't know, but I think that started as primary. There's an awful lot of advertising about the primary before secondary. I don't know, Paul, you're nodding. I don't know if you know more about it.
I'm not sure whether that was a question for just Languagenet or not. Rhys, if you want to come in by any means, you know, come in if I'm not asking the question right. Paul, did you want to come in?
Oh, I think I just to reiterate what you were then saying as well with the primary resources, I do think there is quite a big section on Languagenet that just focuses on primary as well as secondary.
Rhys, does that answer your question?
And Sophia, I think, has got hand up.
Yeah, yeah. There's another question after that. And Sophia, off you go.
Yeah, because I went to a webinar about it and got the free trial, but I didn't have time to have a look at it. But do you find that you had to adapt the content of your teaching to fit in with their activity? Because when I started looking at it, it didn't quite fit with what I was teaching. So actually it was taking me more time than if I was to do stuff that I myself. So did you find you had to adapt your teaching to them?
Not so much, no. And then you can also you can upload your vocab lists, so the Vocab Trainer is adapted to what you're teaching as well. So no, we thought they were useful. They were complementing what we were doing. Yeah. And then, you know, we've only had it, you know, not even a full year, so we just we are adapting some things, but we found it really, really useful, especially to get some really sort of high grade reading and listening, and they ended up doing a lot more from home than we were expecting.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's another question. Am I right to assume you can just type your own sentences to be worked on? Being in Welsh medium,
I can see you moving now.
okay, so I'll ask again. Okay, that's probably my Wi-Fi.
The weather's gone really bad. It's really dark now, so I don't know if everything's going to shut off.
Am I right to assume you can just type your own sentences to be worked on? So that's from a Welsh medium school who needs to work between the French, Spanish, and Welsh.
You can enter your own vocabulary into the vocab list that I worked on, so I assume so. But I wouldn't say. I think, you know, Daniel Atkins will answer straight away. They're really, really good at, you know, communicating.
Thank you. I think that's it, unless I can't see everybody. Is there any more questions on Languagenet?
Let me just put this.
Okay, so if you want to go on to Spiral.
Right, so Spiral is free for now, but I don't know if it's going to be free forever. And there are some sections that I think you need to pay for. So I'm just concentrating on one part that I've been using, but there are a lot more aspects to Spiral than what I'm just going to show you.
This app is called spiral.ac, and I have found it so helpful to be able to have interactivity with the pupils. It is, if you want to explain it, it is a little bit like having mini whiteboards. So when you want to set it up, you have to set up your class. You don't have to enter the students because they just log on. So I've done a trial one. I've made a class. There's nothing there. I'm going to click on this, and it gives me a code that I can share with the students. They just enter this, and they can enter the lesson. So this is what the students would see. So before I give that to the students, I would then start a quick fire. So there are different things to Spiral, but I'm going to concentrate on the quick fire light, which is what we've been using and which is very straightforward, that needs no preparation at all. These might need a little bit more preparation. So you launch quick fire light. I choose which class I want to do it with, and I'm going to be waiting for the students to join us. So this is my big whiteboard, and the students are going to appear here as they come in. So the students have got this, and they want to come in. So they're going to be, this is going to be me. I'm entering the class, and I'm going to say start, so that I can answer questions when my teacher's ready. And then I'm going to be another person, just so that you can see that we've got a choice. And I'm going to start. And as they are coming in, I'm going to see my pupils appearing on my whiteboard. So I'm going to say, what is your name, for example? And then I've got to click this. And then I'm going to say, okay, what is my name? So I'm going to say Viviane, and then I'm going to submit. And then I'm going to say Jane. I don't know. And then submitting. So once I've submitted, my teacher can see that nothing, but I can see that these people have given an answer, but I can't see the answer. Okay, and then when everybody's ready, I just reveal the answers and I can see what they've answered. So if it's a question that is going to be correct or not, I'm going to say correct. And then Jane has got it wrong, so I'm going to say improve. So I'm going to go to Viviane, happy, she's got a star, and then Jane needs to change her answer. So she's not Jane, she's Julie. And then Julie has had time to change her answer. I can see that she's changed it, and I'm going to say, oh, that's correct now, I give you the star. And then I ask another question. As the question, press go, and then they can answer. Very straightforward. Then you can do the exit ticket to have a look at the data, the questions answered, asked and answered. And then, so you can that, and then you can finish the quick fire. Very, very straightforward. I hope that can be helpful to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vivian. Yeah.
Okay.
How much is Spiral?
It's free for now.
Oh,
Like, we've not had to pay anything. No.
Brilliant. I think that's all for the subscription website as such, unless Claire, you tell me if Jamboard is not free. So we're going to have now Claire Temple presenting Jamboard. Thank you, Claire from Rhwydwaith. You're on mute, Claire.
Okay, so this is Jamboard, and it's a free app. It's based on, it's a Google app, so you can access it if you're using Google Drive or Google Classrooms or Gmail, anything like that. It's there in your menu of apps anyway. Otherwise, you can find it from a Google search page. We actually had it introduced to us by a science colleague who is quite evangelistic about it, and I can see why it's been really good for us for engagement, for actually being able to see pupils doing a lot of independent work, but still monitoring them as if they're in the real classroom. So it's sort of like a cross between a mini whiteboard or an interactive whiteboard. You can get them to do group work on it, but you can also set it so that each pupil works on their own, depending on how you embed it into whatever platform you use to share it with. So to actually set it up, you just go into a Google tab and click on the 9 dots to get the drop-down menu and scroll down till you find the Jamboard logo. When you open that up, you will get a page that has already got, if you've already got Jamboard set up, it will give you a web page that's got your Jamboards in there, and you just click on the plus sign to create a new Jamboard. And then you get a Jamboard which is blank, and I've put all of this stuff on here so you can see what's going on with it. But you can, so down the left hand side, you can click, the default is the arrow, you can click on any of the icons down the left hand side and it'll change the function of what you're doing. So you can draw a circle, you can put a text box in, you put a laser pointer, and the pupils can do this. They have control of this when they're working on it. When you're setting it up, you can actually import your own background. So, for example, if there's some Jamboards where I wanted them to work on a text, and I don't want them to edit the text, I want them to actually add to it. So I've put the text in as a background, and then they've put their own notes on top of it. If you really want to get rid of all of this and start again, you can just clear the whole frame. And you can actually set up multiple frames within the Jamboard so that you can actually move the class on to different tasks, or you can have one frame per group, and you can have 3 or 4 people working on one frame and another 3 or 4 working on a different frame. And if you want to see what the frames are in the whole task, if you click on the down arrow here, then you can actually see the whole range of frames that you've got. Once you've got it all set up, you just click on the share link, and it will give you a link that you can then copy and embed into whatever you want to be using as your sharing platform. So for us, we use Google Classroom. We just import it. We just add a link into the Google Classroom. But you can also do it through email, or any, I would imagine most other platforms that use it as well. So I've got, if I just stop sharing that for a moment, and I've got an example of one that I did with a year 10 class, if I can find it. I don't think it's going to, I can't find my window. I'll have a look at that in a minute, but what I have done is put a link into the Jamboard that I set up just now. I've put into the chat. If I put the link in there, if you want to click on that link, you'd be able to access that Jamboard. And on there, there's a couple of examples. So there's the front page that shows what I've done. But then there are a couple of examples of Jamboards that I've actually set up. If you want to have a look at that. It's free, it's easy. It's been really good for getting pupils to engage, because they're not writing all the time, and because you can actually sort of do a lot. You can adapt it to different tasks. You can do sort of like match up tasks with it. You can get them to do writing on it, and the pupils really enjoy working with it. Oh.
Okay, some can't access it, but I'm going to share your presentation anyway after the meeting or tomorrow, so you will have the access there. But yes, Jamboard is.
If I can just see if I can share this link now. Now I've got the or share the screen now. That's it. So one thing that I did with a year 10 class was I wanted them to do a text on holidays. I'd started off, this is what one of the pupils has done, and I'd started off with all of these descriptions. These are the sticky notes that I'd put in, and she had to just match them up to the paragraphs that she felt they were the best captions for. Then the next activity, I'd ask them to take to create their own sticky. So she would just click on the link here, and it creates a sticky note. And she just types on it. And so she typed summary notes from the text to put into here to sort out. They'd already done a vocabulary sort on this as a table mat. And then I asked them to do a similar exercise, but putting in their own ideas, so that then from this, they then use this as the basis for preparing their own writing task on a holiday description. So that was a really good example of how you could sort of develop independent work with it. That's it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Claire. There's a question. This can just be linked as a document when you're assigning tasks on Google Classroom. Is that right?
No, what you do is in Google Classroom, when you've got a choice of either adding or creating. If you click on the add and then put it in as add a link, and you paste your link in rather than creating a new document or adding a file, if you add the link, then it will embed the whole thing. And then when you set it up, you have the choice, like with the document, you can choose whether they just view it or whether they can edit it, or whether you can create a copy for each child.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to learning apps. So this is Katie from Rail. Katie, whilst I'm sharing the screen, do you want to say a couple of words? No? Okay, I'll go on with sharing your presentation.
So I'm going to share learning apps with you. This is a brilliant interactive tool that we have used as a department loads over lockdown. It's really easy to use. The activities are quick to create and pupils love it. It's a free website, learningapps.org, and all you need to do is to create an account and then you're ready to go. Pupils don't need their own account. You will just share a link with them, or you can give them a QR code. Links can also be embedded into other platforms. Once you've created your account, you simply pick a template that you would like to use. So these are all the templates down here. Once you've chosen your template, you've put in your vocab, save it, and you share it. So you can see from the templates, we've got like ordering, we've got gap fills, puzzles, crosswords, pair games, and so on. If I show you this one here, when you click on a template, you will get 3 examples of how you can use that template. Write down a little bit here. So you can see that you can input text, you can listen to an audio and then write the text underneath. You can have an image and then input text with that one. So that's quite nice. Another one to show you is the puzzle one. I've used this quite a lot with grammar activities where pupils will have to categorise vocab or grammar. So you could do it with tenses, and they select it and they choose the correct answer and reveal it. Could reveal a picture or a video or something. So if I show you how to create one, a simple one, if I go into the pairs, you can see that you just go to create new app. You would give it a title, you would put a description here of what you want pupils to do, and then you would choose how you want to make your pair. So you could simply just do it as a text. So for example, me gusta el inglés, and you could write it in English. Okay. Another option, you could match an image. This is really simple to do. So for example, if you wanted to look for a computer, you don't need to open another tab and go to Google. It's all within the app. So find a picture of a computer, you would use it there. And then you can put your text underneath. No me gusta la matemática. And also another option would be the audio. This is one that I use a lot. So we'll do a French one. And change the audio to the language you want. And listen to it.
J'aime le dessin.
And then again, you can put I like art. So once you've created all of your pairs, you would then, I usually make the pairs disappear, so I'll tick that. And then I would normally put that in the target language, bravo or something, or aplausos. Finish editing it. So you get to see what you've created, you get to have a go with it. So what would happen is, you would select Me gusta el inglés, you just got to find your pair. I like English, it would disappear. And then you can...
J'aime le dessin.
And so on. There you go. And what we've done is we've got the children to screenshot their end result, just to prove that they've done it. Save the app, and then you have created a learning app. Also, just finally, you can browse different subjects and you will find some that are already created that you can literally use or amend, and it's very easy to, like, they found all the pictures there and you just press create similar account and then you can just change the vocab or the pictures to suit you. I hope that was useful.
Thanks, Katie. That was great. Thank you very much. Okay, and then I'm aware of the time. It's 4:25. If some of you need to leave at 4:30, please do. We've only got 2 more presentations, so feel free to stay behind, of course, to do that. And just before you leave, if anybody's leaving, just remember that next Wednesday we have our network meeting on CDGs and assessments if you want to register for that, if you haven't done so already. So yeah, Flippity, that's Helen.
Hi, Steph. Hi, I need to share my screen, but I'm not quite sure how to do that right now. I was going to go live. Slight problem here. Do
you want to work it out in a minute? Shall I ask Anne-Sophie to go first?
I was actually going to do this live, but if you want to go on with the next one first.
Yeah, okay. Anne-Sophie, do you want to go next? If I don't know if your internet is...
No, I mean, yes, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so Anne-Sophie, is it virtual whiteboard or is it the other one that you all both?
Hold on. I just wanted to present the Google slide. Hold on, let me find it. Right, so I didn't get on at all with Jamboard for a few reasons, because it doesn't let you paste photos directly, or I find it a little bit too strict, but I wanted to find a way of being able to see the kids' work live and being able to feedback directly and also use what they were doing, you know, as we would use a visualizer. So, I mean, it is silly, so you might all be using it, but I just thought I'd mention it. So I just do a Google slide that I share at the beginning of the lesson, and they either work on a slide, all of them. So here they were doing some translation. So they can choose the level of difficulty. They can either work as commenting on it or straight on the slide, and then I can give them feedback. And obviously they choose their own level. So that was a nice one. I also use it. So that was again, that they used a page each. So they pasted their emoji. We were just doing a quick check on the eyes and hair. So they pasted their emoji, wrote a sentence, and then the good thing about it, at the end, we could just have a look at each of their writing and correct it live by all looking at the same thing. The other way to do that would have been to open their PowerPoint, each of their PowerPoint, but my computer's not powerful enough to do that. So it's easier if they all work on the same PowerPoint. And then at the end, they copy paste that onto the assignment and in the assignment. So I just find it's a little bit more classroom-like, and I don't know if Jamboard offers a similar thing, but I just find that like, for example, the emoji, they had given them to me already. So all I had to do is snip them and paste them. As if you use on Jamboard, you have to save the emoji and then re-upload it. So it takes quite a lot of time. Another one as well, that was, they had a slide each, and that was from a previous work they did. So I gave them a page each, differentiation. So that was an easy one where I highlighted the mistake, and that was a more difficult one where they just had to spot the mistake. So it's just I find a nice and easy way to help them. And then the kid on this one said, oh, actually it's too difficult for me. So then I could just pop him onto another slide like that, or just highlight the bits that he couldn't find. So it's quite interactive, but individual as well. We all share it together, so I find that quite easy. I don't know about, did you want to talk about word wall?
Yeah, if it's ready, then go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so word wall, well, actually, I just find that the person who just presented the learning apps is very similar, isn't it? It works exactly in the same way. And the prep is exactly the same. So that's one I did again with Aaron Eyes. What I like about it is depending on what activity you choose. So I created this activity for anagrams. So, you know, they just, so I thought that was quite a nice one. There's 12 sentences. So at the end, they really have that structure. But then if it was too difficult, you can actually change the activity, and that becomes a match-up. So for lower sets, or for kids who have more difficulty, you have lots of different options for the same input. And then, you know, it can be changed into a quiz. So again, different level of support, or you can make it multiplayer. So that would work a little bit like Kahoot then. So like a live Kahoot. So within, you know, by just inputting one activity, you've got the choice of a lot. And then when we go back to the classroom, if you subscribe to it, it's not very expensive. At the minute I pay £4 because it's just my personal account, and then you can actually print them. So you know, that's quite like that. I think the quiz one is quite nice, you know, as a quick starter or whatever. So I just found that with, like I said, I tried Languagenet and stuff like that, but because I've got very, very small amount of time to prepare, and I'm a bit finicky about what I include, I did get on quite well with Wordwall to use in the lesson, and it links to Google Classroom, so you can assign the task there. In terms of making it, if I go back to this one, it's pretty much like the learning app. You just, so this, yeah, you just type your sentence, you choose to put clues or not, and that's it, job done. So it is very, very easy. And I think what they offer, hold on, I think I've used one for the nutrition, this one, and I can, you know, I haven't used it yet for in the classroom, but when, you know, when we need to do to sort groups, you know, which one are adjectives, which one are verbs or whatever, you can see you know, that can be done it's quite straightforward, and well, it's simple. I like it because it's simple and easy to use. That's it, I think.
Brilliant. No, it's really good. There's a question there, Anne-Sophie. How does the live marking scoreboard work with your grammar correction exercise?
How does the live with the grammar one, the first one? The unjumble the sentence.
Where you had they had to identify the errors. You had your first slide seemed to have a scoreboard on it.
Yeah, I don't.
Did that link in automatically with your?
No, it doesn't link automatically. Like, for example, if I do, if I set a task, I will have the answer. So I'll share my screen again. So this is the answer to the. Oh, hold on. Back again. So this was the French error and I. So I know how many kids have done it, how long, and their score. Obviously, they've got it all correct because you can't not have it correct. But it tells.
Sorry, Anne-Sophie. It was with your Google Slides presentation.
Oh, your Google slide, sorry. Right.
Yeah, your first slide there.
Yeah.
That one. Is that linked into your? Is it?
No, that's just yeah. It is the Google Classroom list of pupils. Yeah.
But it's not linked automatically into
No.
your corrections.
No, I do no, not at all. No.
Okay.
It's just a snippet of the class where I've just put their slide number for them to go to.
Okay.
Because I had chosen the difficulty of their task for them, so they had to go to a particular slide.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. There was a question, Helen, if you want to look into sharing your screen. There was a question here, maybe to everybody, if anybody wants to respond. Has anybody had to remove children from live collaborative apps at all, such as Google Slides or Jamboard? Been using both lots with great reaction, but last week had a child scribble all over a presentation with everyone looking on and had to delete the whole thing as I couldn't remove him. So anybody's had the same experience and has got a solution to that? Would like to share it?
I've had a similar experience. I've had a child who decided to import a lot of Mr. Bean pictures into the Jamboard that I'd set up. But I just went through and sort of just deleted all of the frames that he'd set up and then removed him. And we have had some children sort of thinking they can be a bit silly, but usually if you just say to them, because when you're with a Jamboard, you can see as the child moves something around, you can see who it is who's moving. So you can actually address them directly. You can talk to them directly about it if you are watching what they're doing. But yes, the only solution really, if they keep on, is you've got to trust them with a lot of these things, and then removing them is probably the only option for some of them. But yeah, Mr. Bean wasn't particularly helpful.
Okay, thank you. Right, so we got Helen who's going to do something live. Yeah, and as I said, I'll send everything that I've got, all the different presentation or links to the presentations to everybody, and then the recording of the session will be forwarded to everybody. So if you have to leave early, please do so. You don't have to apologize. But Helen, off you go.
Okay, can I just check that you can see my screen? You should be able to see.
You can, that's great.
Phew. Okay, I'm just going to move this slightly out of the way. Okay, so just let me, I'm not used to Zoom. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so hi everybody, nice to, well, if I could see you, I've just got a screen in front of me. I just want to say thank you for the presentation so far. There's some really good ideas there that I'd like to try myself. So what I thought I would do with you, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to go live here. So I want to talk to you about Flippity. And this is something that I have been using with my students who have at Key Stage 5. I'm going to talk about Key Stage 5 because my students, while they are, some of them are native speakers of French and German, they don't have or haven't had a huge amount of confidence in writing. So what I thought I would do is a little bit like Conti that you've already mentioned, Steph, work on building sentences for speaking, for the discussion, for the IRP, the Independent Research Project, but also to give them confidence with writing. As part of the WJC, as we know, one of the papers demands an analytical and critical response in writing. So I've tried to think of a few ways of doing this that's accessible. So I thought I would try with Flippity. So Flippity is free. I've been using it freely. Whether that will change in future, I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't. I'm just going to show you on the home page some of the things that you can do with Flippity. And basically you're working with a Google spreadsheet, and you can upload this into Google Classroom, you can edit it, you can create flashcards and lots of other things that you can see here. And I think it lends itself also to a range of the key stages, depending on how accessible you want to make it, how challenging you want to make it, how fun you want to make it. So today I thought I would talk about flashcards. So I've been making flashcards. Some of the other things, if you want to inject a little bit more fun, you can have point scoring, the quiz show. There's a random name picker. I've actually used this in WordWall because I think that works as well in WordWall. There is a randomizer where you can put together parts of sentences to build them up. So it's quite fun when you have with students, you have part sentences. They can make nonsensical sentences, or they can make really reasonable ones if you want to focus on a topic, a theme, or maybe an aspect of grammar. So it's spin the wheel and see what comes up and try to put all the aspects of the sentence together. There's also a board game that's interactive. So you've got an interactive die there. Scavenger hunt, so they have to unlock using the right word to unlock the key to the lock. Manipulatives, that's something that I'd also like to show you. Matching games here. And again, as one of our previous colleagues mentioned, when the cards match up, you can make them disappear. Recently, I used the bingo game, so the students can have 5 in a row, but you've got to create a Google worksheet that has 25 or 20, so multiples of 5. So lots of things there which are suitable for right across the different key stages, so crossword puzzles, scrambles, and so on. So I'm going to come back now and show you how easy it is to just put your Flippity feature into Google Classroom. So as I mentioned, I want to show you the flashcards. So this is for the film analysis, Das Pferd auf dem Balkon, the horse on the balcony, which sounds crazy, but it really is at the heart of the film. So I created the flashcards, and I'll show you the spreadsheet in a moment. So you can include audio. So on one side you have the English, or it could be the Welsh. Then you can flip it over and find the target language version. So this is really helpful for students who are learning to create a bank of phrases to write their critical appraisal or response to the film. You can also use this. Im Zentrum der Handlung steht die Hauptfigur. So you can choose it to be supported by audio, or you can just turn it off. Students can say the phrase themselves and then check it. Im Zentrum der Handlung steht die Hauptfigur. Okay, so you can flip it over, so they can test each other, they can test themselves. So lots of different ways of using this. But the good thing is that it's really handy for the students, and they can look at it just by going into their Google account. So one of the benefits of the flashcards is you can listen, as we've already heard, so you can listen to the Erzähler berichtet von. Sie wird glaubhaft dargestellt. Okay, so you can have the audio in English, or you can just switch this off. Also, it's available as a printer-friendly version, so students can print this off and put this in their folder. Also, it's available, they can just point their camera, their phone, and they can just check the QR code and have this available on another device, for example. So another thing that you can do with the Flippity cards is you can type the answer here in German, and then you can check it. This one is horribly wrong. Yeah, okay. So you get the right answer here, and then if you want to, you can flip it over and do it the other way around. Okay, so lots of ways of checking, double checking, checking the English, checking the German, so checking the target language, but also having the audio as well to reinforce the learning and to have a kind of multimedia approach to learning vocabulary for a film analysis. One of the other programs that I wanted to briefly mention was the Manipulatives. It sounds quite horrible, but actually these are really good. And what you do with the Manipulatives is you create whoops, where's it gone? Okay, so you can create word or part phrases. So this is really a useful way of creating an overview, a film review, and encouraging the students to use critical thinking skills, but also looking for word order, so verb, comma, verb, for example, or looking for commas between clauses, also looking for prepositions such as zwischen. So all of this can be color-coded. And then it helps the students to really think about how they are going to reconstruct a film review, and then perhaps create one of their own based on maybe a different character or a different theme. Here, the theme is all about Asperger's syndrome. So that in itself creates quite a lot of discussion. The way to share this, you can share this in Google Classroom, you can embed the link, you can create a QR code, it can be tweeted, and then finally, if you want to edit this, it can be done in the word sheet, the spreadsheet, and it looks something like this. So you'll get a model. If you click on template, you will get the model, and then you can change the language to suit. So for me, obviously, I want it to be in German, so I'm going to click on German audio to support what the students are learning. If I want to disable the English, I'm sorry, but there is no Welsh. I apologize. But if I don't want to listen to it in English, then just disable it and click on none. If you have students who maybe need a little bit of support, if they have, say, reading difficulties, or if you need to color code either the card or the text, if they have a visual impairment, then this Flippity, I think, is really good because they can listen, they can repeat, but also maybe some of the text coloring or the card color background is really helpful for students who may need some extra support with the reading aspect.
Helen?
Yeah.
That's really great. If we could wrap it up, that would be really great because we're running a little bit out of time. Okay. Sorry to rush you.
Okay. Already, sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier, just very quickly, the spinning wheel. This is available in Flippity, in Flippity and in Wordwall. But if you want to spin it, this is what I use. Sorry about the annoying noise. If I'm reviewing grammar, or if again critical thinking skills, spin the wheel, ask the students to create a phrase based on the stimulus text here. It's also available very quickly, and then I'll stop talking, I promise. So you can revise vocabulary, you can revise grammar, or you can, as I've done here, just open a box. So students choose. Okay, so they can start to build phrases and build then towards creating their own review or character analysis. Okay, and I'm going to stop sharing now.
Brilliant. There was a question very quickly. Can you use Flippity if you don't use Google Classroom?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think
you can share a link. So the link that you can share, it can be shared via Twitter. It can be obviously that's got all sorts of protection issues, but you can actually embed it in an email. So you can create it, make a copy, share it, but use the email within the school system.
Yeah, and then there was another question, but Paul's answered it. So yeah, you can use the sets from Quizlet.
Yeah, they are. I think they are transferable. So Quizlet, yeah, I think they're quite interchangeable in that sense.
Well, thank you ever so much to all our presenters, volunteers. Thank you to everybody for attending and so late. You've had a long, long day and a very, very busy term. You're very welcome to ask more questions about emails, contact us if you need anything else. But please go home now. I mean, I know you're home, but go home and have a cup of tea or a glass of wine or something. And thank you again for joining us. See some of you next week, hopefully. Yeah, have a nice evening. Thank you ever so much to everyone.
Thank you, Steph. That was really helpful. Thank you.